You open up the fridge, and there it is. That damn leftover rice you've been meaning to use up for the past 2 days. You think to yourself, fried rice would be good, but then you think again,
yeah, for the 1000th time. Now, what if I told you that adding a lot of water and overcooking this already cooked rice would yield one of the most comforting weeknight dishes of all time? So in today's video, we cover congee or juk, which is a staple dish eaten for breakfast or lunch in a number of Asian countries, and they each have their own unique variations on how it's prepared. So first, we're gonna cover the basics of congee, and then I'm gonna show you the version that I make with just leftover rice. It's got a bunch more vegetables and this spicy, garlicky pork topping. Absolutely killer. It's not really a traditional or authentic recipe, but it's made with the comforting spirit of congee in mind. So with that being said, let's break it down.
though there are tons of variations, at its core, congee is a rice porridge. Now, this can be as simple as adding 1 part rice and 10 parts of water to a pot, bringing that to a boil, then letting it cook for about an hour or so until the rice granules overcook and burst, and that liquid reduces into a porridge-like consistency. Then you just add salt to taste. That's it. Now, sometimes congee is served plain like this as a side dish, for example in this photo of a Chinese congee breakfast. Other times it can be served as more of a main dish, such as the Korean dakjuk, which has vegetables and chicken added.
Now, for a dish that at its core is 2 ingredients, there are actually a lot of variables. For example, what type of rice you use, the rice to liquid ratio, do you use plain water or stock? How long do you cook it for? What type of aromatics are you gonna add to your porridge? Or my personal favorite thing to figure out is what toppings am I going to add to this? So with that being said, let's hop through my version, which is made with leftover rice.
Let's gather all our ingredients first. So for the congee base, I have 200 grams of leftover sushi rice, but any rice will work, and then 500 milliliters of chicken stock. Now for the aromatics, you're gonna grate up 1 carrot and 1/4 of an onion, and lastly 2 garlic cloves. Now, at the stove, set a pot over medium heat and add 15 grams of neutral oil and a tiny drizzle of sesame oil. Then once that has come to temp, add the carrots, onions, and garlic clove and let everything saute together until it's nice and fragrant and just starting to brown, probably 2 to 3 minutes. Once there, add in the leftover rice with the vegetables and mix all of that together, and then finally pour in the chicken stock. You want about 2 to 3 times the amount of leftover rice you have. I don't have a specific amount here since it does depend on the kind of leftover rice you do have, but you can always add more liquid later if you're not liking how the texture is coming up. But simply all we have to do is let this cook down while stirring occasionally until that rice breaks down and it starts to thicken up, probably 25 to 30 minutes. So while that thickens up, let's make the pork, but first let me thank today's sponsor, Kettle Fire.
Now, you could make congee with just plain water, but to instantly add another layer of flavor, I like using a broth or stock, and today I use the chicken bone broth from today's sponsor, Kettle Fire. Now, I like making my own broth and stock as much as anyone, but it's not always reasonable to have fresh stock made on hand, which is why I do like to keep some in my pantry, and I want to make sure it's as high quality as possible. What I love about Kettle Fire is first, it's high quality, pure bone broth. The chicken broth is made with 100% organic, free-range chicken bones and simmered for over 14 hours. Now with these longer simmer times, they're actually able to extract the maximum amount of proteins and collagen. So this is a good source. For 1 cup serving, you get 45 calories and 10 grams of protein, which I'm all about. And straight up, it's just high quality, it's convenient. So if you wanna stock up on some Kettle Fire, go to the link down below and use code Ethan for 20% off your order, and they're gonna ship it right to your door. But with that being said, let's get back to our congee.
So this is what the rice looks like after about 15 minutes or so, and you can see that rice has started to break down and it's thickening up, but let's get back to the pork, which is an absolute must make. To start this chilicky garlicky ground pork, first chop any chili pepper into a fine dice. You could use serrano, Thai bird's eye are great, but I'm just using a habanero here. Next, get out 5 garlic cloves and also do that into a fine mince. And lastly, get out 1 scallion and slice off the white part. We'll be using the white portion for the pork and then using the green as a fresh topping later on. With everything prepped, just set a wok over medium heat and add a drizzle of neutral oil. And then once that is hot, toss in the scallion, garlic, and chilies and saute everything for 1 to 2 minutes. Now, toss in a ½ pound of ground pork along with a pinch of salt and jack that heat up as high as it will go. Using a potato masher, crush the meat up into fine little pebbles, and that pork fat's gonna start to render out and the pork will crisp up about 6 to 8 minutes. You really wanna let all the liquid steam off so that pork was gonna start to brown and crisp on the bottom. Once the pork is crisped up to your liking, add a little drizzle of water or some stock to the pan to just help deglaze those crispy bits. And then lastly, we're gonna add 15 grams of soy sauce and 15 grams of hoisin sauce and just mix that together to combine and let that excess liquid kind of cook off and get a little bit sticky. And this pork is truly addictive. It's crispy, it's spicy, it's a little bit sweet from the hoisin, and it's gonna make a perfect topping for our congee. For my other toppings, I also have some thinly sliced green onion, thinly sliced ginger, and some chili crisp oil. Back at the stove, the leftover rice should have burst open beautifully, and now you just need to dial in the consistency. I definitely prefer it on the thicker side, so I'm just gonna let this cool down and the liquid reduce, but you could add more stock or water to thin it out. Lastly, give it a taste and add salt as needed. Depending on your stock, or if you use water, you may need more or less than you think. Now this bowl alone will be great, but really those toppings make it into something truly special. So first, I'm gonna add a little drizzle of the chili oil over the top for some contrast, and then give it a couple spoonfuls of that crispy chili ground pork. Lastly, I like to add some green onion and that fresh ginger, and also some more crispy chili bits from that oil. And now, let's eat.
First meal of the day, I am so ready for this. It's just a super comforting dish. Like, it kind of reminds you of like your favorite pair of pants or like getting a hug from somebody. Just the consistency is really nice. It's like a little bit soupier than like a risotto, but then a great way to add a ton of vegetables. Like the carrots really come through in this one, obviously with the color too, but you really taste them in there. And then pairing it with those fresh toppings, the scallions, the ginger, the chili oil. And I have gotta say, this crispy kind of garlic chili pork, absolute game changer. Definitely give this a shot at some point. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed the video. Again, a super cool recipe to use up leftover rice. You know, you take up one serving of, leftover rice and you turn it into like a massive serving that is a lot more volume, same amount of calories obviously, because we just added, water. Or if you add chicken stock, you can actually get some extra protein out of it. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed. The recipe for this version will be up on my website. But again, you can make congee or juk however you want to, and hopefully you guys kind of understand the blank canvas of what it really is. So I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace, y'all.